What is going on, guys? This is your boy Chili, and it is Sunday. I haven't had a Sunday off in forever, so I decided to do a little happy dance, Napoleon Dynamite. And I'm in the tower right now. I haven't been on Destiny in over a week, so it's very interesting kind of going through. But today I wanted to do my idea video, and the one I wanted to stress to you guys is this is a way of kind of being more efficient with our vault space in some of the stuff around the tower that's accessible to all guardians. Now, the first thing to remember, and I'm showing you here what I'm talking about, what I'm going to be talking about, it's the SRL gear and the Festival of the Lost DLC stuff that you could buy or obtain, as well as exotics. And what I wanted to talk about was the fact that we can actually be more efficient with our space, possibly. Now, I'm going to show you guys my idea in a second, but essentially what I wanted to talk about first was Destiny is still catering to the previous gen as well as the current gen of consoles, and for that reason it hinders their abilities to fully use the PS4 and Xbox One, obviously, because they have to make sure that what they can do for the PS4 can be done for the PS3 and Xbox 360. Obviously, because they can't be leaving them out. So I'm going to take my Mida multi-tool and I'm going to show you what my idea is. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the kiosk, which if you guys were here before the Taken King, we never had the kiosks, and they're a great way to always be able to have access to exotics. But the problem is that I'm about to show you is the kiosks have essentially become useless if you've gotten past 300 light level, basically. So as you see, everything is at 280. So if I were to delete my Mida multi-tool, I would get it back at 280, and I'd have to, you know, re-level it up and all that stuff, and it's just not fun. So my idea was being able to take all of our exotics and essentially put them into the kiosk as a placeholder. So it doesn't mean that, you know, they're always going to be 310 or 3 whatever at that point, but essentially it eliminates space for both the weapons and the armor in your vault, so you can have more room for other stuff, or in your inventory, whatever. It would act as a placeholder, and it would kind of reinvent the use for the kiosk, because right now, especially with the game being so dry and it being in between these huge DLC drops, you know, stuff is just sitting in people's inventories and in their vault. And this would be kind of a good way to get a new use out of the kiosk, because I'll be honest, I haven't used it pretty much at all since I got past a certain light level, because there's no point, there's no incentive for me to delete an exotic, even though I may never use it, because I don't want to have to re-level it up from 380. I could rather just take my chances using 3 of coins and get it as an exotic Ingram and guarantee myself a 310 drop. So by doing that, by being able to lock up your exotic weapons kind of in your own personal showcase, it doesn't actually add any vault space, which I know some people like myself who are collectivists and want everything in the game. They want all the strike specific loot, all the class specific items. It makes it a little bit easier, and at the same time you know where they're at. You can come over here, and on all 3 characters you know that it's locked up over here. That's my idea for the exotics, because I really think that would benefit a lot of players. It would make it a solemn place, a solo place where they know that their gear is going to be, and it makes it so that the kiosk gets a little bit more use, and overall you just know, you know, it's not going to always drop 310 weapons. So if I delete my Mida, it's not going to give me a 320 Mida again, but instead it's actually going to make sure that I know that it's there for me. Now I don't know the coding part of it. Can they do that for each specific guardian in the tower, or if it's just a simple process, I don't know. But I'd really like to think that that could be a cool change implemented in the future, in terms of being able to consolidate space and allocate where your weapons and gear goes. So let me know what you guys think. I really hope that you guys like that idea. I'm going to go on and show you a couple more things. I'm going to go over to the armor kiosk, because one of the things that I've had an issue with, more specifically, is armor. The DLCs that dropped a bunch of armor. Technically, the Festival of the Lost dropped armor, the SRL event dropped armor, and those should be things that should be consolidated as well, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But essentially, the armor, the exotic class items, if you get to a certain rank on a certain faction, they kind of just take up spaces, because of course you're going to switch factions usually to do the other ones. So as you see here, my year 2 gear do the same process. Essentially take any exotic I have in my inventory at the time and put it into the kiosk as a placeholder. This would be especially useful for the class items, or the digital DLC collector's edition stuff, the stuff that for the longest time was only rank 170, the specific class item ones. It would be nice to know that if I bought those and leveled them up, I could put them back into the kiosk without the fear of losing them or having to re-level them up and having them locked at a certain level. I just think overall for the armor, that would be an amazing idea. So let me know what you guys think on the exotic armor side. I think that would be an awesome way to know where all of your exotics are, something that you could easily go. And it acts as kind of a second mini vault specifically for exotics, but it's still useful. You know, I know that I can run down there and grab my Mida multi-tool. I can still use it off the Destiny inventory manager or whatever you pull your gear from. Just know that it can go there instead. And if you don't specifically put it there, it just goes to your vault. So if you pull it from that, that makes sense. But anyways, I'm now going to run over to Amanda Holiday. Now Amanda Holiday was the main lady that you communicated with for the SRL event, and it was fun. They had 4 different suits, I believe, the racing gear, Jade Rabbit, and one other one, and then they also had the momentum gear if you bought the record book. And what they did with the record book was awesome. Essentially, you can just buy it back for 100 glimmer. But my issue is if you got all the armors, one for each character, that way you didn't have to keep switching gear. You got the helmets, you got the momentum gear, and all that stuff. I don't think anybody should have to delete that for such a micro DLC event. I know it's not the most useful gear, but the fact of the matter is it was still leveled up by doing a ton of races. I mean, if you looked at my record book, I had a couple hundred races, and maybe having not even a new kiosk, but on her inventory like she does with the record book, having it so that you can store all the gear right there. You can store all the helmets for each character, for each racing suit and all that. You know, you look right here, you have the horns in a kiosk, even though you can't really put the horns there, at least as far as my knowledge now. You couldn't for the longest time. Maybe even adding it to the kiosk. SRL racing gear goes with the Sparrow stuff. Makes perfect sense to me. It's another way to consolidate stuff, and for the people who invested money into the DLC to get the momentum gear and it doesn't take up vault space, we should just automatically have it be able to come back to us just like the record book. So now going on to the next DLC event that we had. We only had 2 where they dropped armor, and that was the Festival of the Lost. They dropped all the fun masks, and the SRL when they dropped the sparrows and the shaders and stuff like that. Now all of that went to kiosks. So wouldn't you think that the armor would naturally be able to go to some sort of item inventory manager type thing as well? So for instance, Eva Levante ran the Festival of the Lost. She gave you the masks, the bags of candies. I think it would be awesome, especially if you purchase masks, for her to be able to store all the ones that you purchase. Essentially, if you give them to her or act as a placeholder, delete them, whatever, they go to her. The whole point being is I like the DLC events. I think they're fun. I think that they're somewhat meticulous. They're not exactly the most substantial content, but they're exciting. I bought into the Festival of the Lost. I bought the emotes. I bought the masks. I bought the record book, so I got the momentum gear and all that stuff. I don't like thinking that the extra money that I've put in for microtransactions isn't very useful unless you're doing that DLC event, but at the same time you can't really delete it without knowing that you wasted your money. I think it's kind of a bad business strategy, and that maybe it could be implemented somewhere else. So maybe down in this little line right here, she holds all the masks. There's 17 in total, so maybe I don't really know. I think it would be interesting if they did that. I think it'd be a fun way to be able to kind of clean up people's vault spaces for keeping on to that gear. Let me know what you guys think. This is just my idea of kind of a way to clean up the vaults and allow people to enjoy the DLC stuff without having to feel like they purchase it and then have to delete it. It was like a weak purchase. This game has a lot of longevity for some people. Some people have invested a lot of hours and money into it, so I'd like to see that come to a better use. But that's going to be the end of the video. I got to get out of here, go into a family event. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm posting this to the forum, so please, let's get this going. Let's see if we can get some responses out of that. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and remember to stay focused, stay humble, stay driven, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.